All right, everyone, welcome back to Nets in the Water. Excited to be back in the podcast seat today. We have Matt with us. All I really know about Matt is that he has a crazy story to share today, and I'm just excited to get into it. So thank you guys for watching. Matt, thank you so much for sitting down and being willing to share this story with us.
John, super excited to be here. And as far as who I am, I'm nobody special. And I think that's really one of the most important pieces to this story is I'm not a religious life. I'm not a podcast host.
I think podcast host makes you less special nowadays. I guess there's more podcast hosts than non-podcast hosts.
Whatever the case may be, I'm a 9-to-5er. I work for a Tampa airport. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm just the same kind of person as pretty much everyone who's going to be listening to this. Nothing really special about me. I like sports. I like comedy, and that's actually kind of a good segue is comedy, because one of the things that my wife and I love to do is watch stand-up comedians.
Awesome.
And any fan of stand-up knows that if you lead with the punchline, typically you ruin the joke.
Sure.
So I'm going to do that right now, though. I'm going to go ahead and lead with the punchline.
Okay.
On February 18th, 2025, I was miraculously healed from a decade of chronic nerve pain by Jesus through the intervention of Our Lady of Lourdes.
Okay. That's a pretty strong punchline.
It's a loaded sentence for sure, yeah.
Wow, so 1 year ago, almost to the day.
Almost to the
correct?
day now. Yep, it'll be this coming Wednesday,
Wow.
the start of Ash Wednesday this year. Will be exactly 1 year.
Well, then I think at this point, then we need to get to the setup of, were you always raised Catholic? What did it look like coming to the faith? What is this nerve pain condition? Just set the stage a little bit.
Yeah, so a little bit of context. Cradle Catholic, raised going to church every Sunday with family. Fell away from the church a little bit in my college years, but not too long after coming back home from school, really fell back in love with my faith, got married around that same point in time, and my wife and I together really kind of pushed a growth in our faith together. And Christ has been the center of our marriage and of our lives really since the time that we met, which is to go back to, say about 2010 now.
Oh, okay.
So this story really begins about 10 years ago, not too long after my 28th birthday. I started having this pain in my back. And I'm a gym rat. I'm an avid, exercise enthusiast. So initially, I just kind of chalked it up to did something stupid in the gym.
Sure.
Hurt myself. We'll take a little bit of time off. Everything will be fine. Didn't work. Pain never went away. And in fact, quite the opposite. The pain just kind of slowly with time started getting worse and worse and worse and growing. So it started out kind of centered down between my shoulder blades. And then as days and weeks and months wore on, the pain grew, and it worked its way up from that spot between my shoulder blades all the way up into my shoulder, and eventually all the way up into my neck, to the point where about 30% of my back was just in chronically something wrong with it. Couldn't figure it out. Went to primary care doctors, went to massage therapists, went to physical therapy, I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
Talked to them all. No one had an answer. It was always put ice on it, take more ibuprofen, take it easy for a little while. Well, a year in, hearing take it easy, start to run out of patience, right?
Yeah, it doesn't do too much for you.
And the pain's getting worse and worse. It's not like it's, just during a particular activity. It was all day long.
Just
Constant. I'd wake up and I'd be in pain. I'd do any activity, I'd be in pain. I'd go to sleep, still in pain.
Yeah, it just randomly started one day.
And it just came on, and no real reason as to how, why, what happened. It was there.
Just happened.
So about a year into this, right after my first daughter was born, I finally got into a doctor who said, you know what, let's do an MRI. We're not getting any answers. You're not even 30 years old.
Yeah.
This is a long shot. Probably a big nothing burger. Let's do it anyways. A couple weeks later, come back to read the results. He said, well, we have answers. So I thought, great, this is what I've been looking for. I've been waiting to get the answers.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the answers were no good news. I found out that I had 2 herniated discs in my neck. So between the C4 and C5 and C6 and C7 vertebrae, the disc that's kind of supposed to cushion in there was squishing, it was deflating, and as it was squeezing, it's pushing out and was pinching on nerves. I also found out that the opening in the vertebrae that your spinal cord passes through was, for whatever reason, about 10 to 20% smaller in my neck than the rest of my body. So I had less space to work with to begin with.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we have these discs that are bulging out and squeezing at the very base of these main nerves that I found out control the upper part of my back, all the muscles in your back.
Okay.
And not just that, up into my neck and then even down my arm. All the nerves that run down the back side of your arm into your forearm and all the way out to the tips of my pinkies and ring fingers on my left hand.
We're all getting impacted by
They were all getting impacted. And the bad news for this was I thought, great, I have an answer so we can figure out what this is. And Doc said, you don't really have too many options. You can have surgery, which you're not even 30 years old yet. I don't recommend that. So just going to keep treating the symptoms. Keep taking the ibuprofen, take the muscle relaxers, get the massages, do the stretching, all the things that I'd been doing for a year were the same things I'm told. This is your new life. This is what you're going to live with from now until the time that you meet the good Lord. And I wasn't too happy to hear it.
Yeah, I was going to ask
as one would expect, it wasn't the best news to be getting. And with every day that continued to pass, the same story. The pain continued just to get that much worse. Everything I did was impacted. I could be trying to shave my neck, and it would take me 10 to 15 minutes because the position I had to place my face in would pinch on that nerve in the back of my neck. Holding my babies, tiny 10-pound little infant, can't hold their own head up. Just the position of cradling my arms in front of my body pinched on that nerve and sent searing pain down my left arm. The way I've come to describe the pain is, it's kind of funny. You take that feeling when you're sitting down too long and your leg falls asleep, and then you stand up and you kind of get that pins and needles, that tingling feeling, and it doesn't feel great, but it goes away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Take that and amplify it by about 10, and then hold that thought. Now put your hands out to warm them by a fire. You get that perfect distance where it's just right. Now move about a foot too close, and then go about another foot past that. And that heat, that searing, burning feeling that you can feel, that combined with the tingling was my day in, day out. There were good days and bad days. If we're going on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being no pain at all, 10 being childbirth, never experienced. My every day was about a 4. So just kind of got used to what that meant, and unfortunately it became very limiting. I allowed it to really impacted my happiness. Unfortunately, it kept me home from going to events because I was just in so much pain, and it was easier to be in pain at home than be in pain in public.
Sure.
There were certain things that I just couldn't do because the positions that it would put my body in would be excruciating, like holding my kids. I would actively avoid holding my babies because of how much pain it put me in. And this unfortunately continued on and continued on. And then about 8-9 years down the road, things still were just, they weren't getting any better. I was getting frustrated with it, so I wanted to go back to the doctor, see what's going on now. And this time I brought my wife along with me.
Yeah.
I did another round of MRIs, and I'd never met this doctor, and he comes walking into the room, and he kind of jumps, which is never the reaction you want when a doctor do when he walks into the room. No, you don't need him to startle. He said, I have to apologize. When I opened your chart, I just went to looking at the images. I didn't look at your date of birth. When I was coming into the room, I thought I was going to be coming to meet a gentleman in his mid to late 70s. So you can see my surprise when I see someone who's still not quite 40 sitting here. You have the neck of a 70-year-old man who's been through it.
Yeah.
And I'm crushed. I know that not only is this not getting any better, it's actually getting actively worse as time goes on. So fast forward another year or so, and a friend of mine invited me to join his men's group in the morning at our church.
Now, I'm curious about this 10-year period.
Yeah.
What was your like internal battle with this like? I mean, was it a lot of hopelessness? Was it a lot of anger? Like, what was your own just disposition throughout all of this?
You nailed it. Hopelessness, for sure. Despair, anger was a big piece of it. And anger was a big piece that I tried my best to keep to myself, particularly outside of the walls and the confines of my house, right?
Sure.
I really tried. I was embarrassed over, frankly, the monster that this pain had turned me into, which meant that when I was at home, it wasn't a great place to be around me.
Yeah.
My wife, who had married one man, was now living in the house with somebody completely different, somebody who she didn't know, because the pain was just, it was warping my mind. It was warping my brain, my ability to have patience, to be loving. None of that had any room when essentially I just felt like I was seeing red all day, every day.
And during that time, were you involved in your faith? Did you have a relationship with God, really?
I was involved with my faith, but I think I really struggled with inviting God into it. It was a lot of, you've blessed me with so much. How dare I come ask you for more?
Yeah.
It was a lot of, you've given me all these tools. Now it's my job to go forth and use these blessings you've given me. But it's on me, is the kind of the way that I felt about it. And now in hindsight, clearly wrong. But it turned me into trying to internalize all of that physical pain. And then, of course, the emotional and spiritual pain that I was feeling along with it. Those weren't things that I talked about.
Yeah.
The spiritual suffering, the anger that I had. God, why did you make me this way? I know that you make us all in your own likeness and image. Why is this my cross to carry?
Yeah.
And it took a really, really long time to come around to any type of understanding on that particular aspect. And unfortunately, during that time, I'm sure you've heard the saying, walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
In reality, in my house, it was more like tiptoeing through a minefield. Because you didn't know what was going to set me off, when I was going to get set off, how big the boom was going to be. It was truly unpredictable, to the point where not only am I not progressing or growing in my faith with God, I'm actually destroying all these things that he's blessed me with.
Yeah.
The kids, the wife, my family situation. I'm dismantling it brick by brick every single day, not even realizing what I'm doing. So as time pushes on, eventually it gets to a point where my wife says, enough's enough. I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but this can't continue on. For my sake, for the sake of our kids, you got to figure something out.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point now, I'm still kind of relying on myself. I start looking, to self-help books, anger treatment, any little tip, trick, hack, what I was open to anything. It didn't matter at that point. And it helped. Some of those things genuinely helped, and they got me to the point where things were, I say, getting better, but not fixed. I could, instead of going 2-3 days without having an outburst, I could go 2-3 months. Initially 2-3 weeks, then 2-3 months without having this outburst. But the problem is, once it would come back again, the whole house of cards would topple.
Sure.
And it's like I'm back to ground zero.
Sure.
So looking for anything, willing to try anything, a friend of mine invites me to join his men's group in the morning, 6 a.m., come sit down and, let's spend time talking about the Lord. And who wouldn't be reluctant to waking up to go to church at 6 a.m.? But I felt the calling. I felt the pull to go do that. And I did it. And it was starting to change me. It was starting to shape me a little bit, putting myself into community with these men where I could talk about things that are on my mind, actually have some type of spiritual support in my life that I'd clearly been lacking for so long. But still keeping very close to my chest the cards of my pain and suffering and all of my transgressions, frankly, that I was committing at home, all the sins against my wife and against my kids and against God, that I'm just saying, this is who I am. God, you made me this way. You know, God gave me this. Can't really get it on the podcast, but if I speak in public, I can pretty much present without a microphone. I have this nice, deep, booming voice that God blessed me with. And instead of using it to his benefit, I was using it to my detriment. I was taking that blessing, and I allowed the devil to attack me in that area where he said, I know what God wants you to use this, but this is how I'm going to twist you and ruin this blessing that God has put in your life. And I wasn't getting anywhere fast. Nothing was really changing. I wasn't still having this kind of hit or miss every day of my life. The pain was still there constantly. And it was a roadblock. It was an immovable roadblock in my life.
And it sounds like you started to identify with it, just both the pain and the results of it. This is just me.
This is me.
This is who I was
this
made
is
to
who
be.
I am. God, this is how you made me.
Yeah. It's like Satan's number one lie, is that I am my sin.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So I get invited to this group, and we're talking, and I make a new friend. You know, during this time of me staying at home for really this decade of socially isolating myself, my friendships had fallen by the wayside. I've grown. I'm not making new friends as an adult. It became a very lonely place to be.
Yeah.
And I made a new friend through this group, another guy who had just moved to the area recently. And for whatever reason, from the very second I met him, I could tell, I was like, we're going to be buddies.
Yeah.
And right out the gate, great person to align myself with and have that kind of spiritual connection with another man in my life. And then one random morning, Mick shows up. Mick is his name, friend from Australia. And he had brought a tiny little vial of Lourdes water for everyone in our men's group. So 2-3 months prior than that, in one of our conversations, he just mentions in passing, somehow, some way, at any point in his adult life, he's had water from Our Lady's Grotto in Lourdes, France, in his personal possession. He'd never been himself.
He just always had it.
But always had it. A friend would go, a cousin, somebody would always come. And anytime he ran out, within weeks or months, someone would come back and replenish that supply without ever asking. So he says that he always has this water in his possession. Now, a couple months after, we have that conversation one morning. The night before St. Joseph's Society, I'm probably about a 9 in terms of pain. Frankly, I could barely function. I can distinctly remember standing by the back door of my house, and I was supposed to be doing a chore. I was supposed to be taking out the recycle. And I just find myself standing there with my eyes closed, staring at the floor, and completely forgetting what I was doing, why I'm here, what I'm supposed to be accomplishing right now, because the pain is so excruciating that it just completely wrecks any train of thought. Go to bed that night. Typically, if I go to bed at a 9, most days it would reset while I sleep. The nerves aren't as pinched while I'm resting. You're supported in your bed. And the pain would kind of go down, and then it'd cycle back up over the day. And then it'd down, and it'd cycle back up. But unfortunately, this day, being as bad as it was, the next morning, it only dropped back to like a 7. So I wake up to go to the Bible study, and I'm this close to just saying, nope. Tap the alarm clock.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm going back to bed. This hurts too much.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, God dragged me out of bed that morning.
Yeah.
And I got to Bible study, and I was the last person in the door as our video for the day was starting, as our content was getting started. And everyone's silent, and Mick just slides this little vial of water over and puts it in front of me and goes, "Hey, bud, Lourdes water." That's it. Right? So I reach out and I grab it.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as this, I mean, let me describe it. We're not talking about, water, right? A big glass of water. Yeah. It's a vial that's probably about as half a big around as my pinky, and maybe about 1.5 inches tall.
Like a fragrance sample.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Yeah, like
perfect. Just like the
sample.
fragrance sample that you get at Dillard's when you're walking through there and get attacked by all the salespeople. So this tiny little thing of water, I can hold it in my fist and you don't know I'm holding it. It's that tiny. And as soon as I grab it, I can just tell something. I don't know what it is, but I can feel power in my hand, and it's alarming and it's unsettling, but it was exciting because I had known the stories of Lourdes, France, and the grotto, and young Bernadette, and the apparitions of Mary appearing to her and telling her, this is to be a sacred site, and water will spurt forth in the decade or century and a half since then, and all of the purported healings that have come from people coming and bathing in these waters. So I know what it can do.
And in this moment, are you thinking of that in context to your pain? Have you given up all hope at this point, or is there kind of part of you that's like, maybe this is it? Maybe this is the thing that's going to fix it?
It wasn't even just part of me saying maybe. I knew. From picking that little vial up on the table to holding it in my hand, I white knuckled that little vial of water for an hour and a half. I didn't let it go.
Yeah.
I mean, my hand was probably cramping by the end of it. I was squeezing so
something
tight.
in you just knew.
Something in me knew this. There's something here for you.
Yeah.
So everything wraps up for the day. I rush out the door. No conversations, no chit chat today. And I get to my truck and I sit down in the truck and I close the door and I drop my keys in the center console and I'm holding the water in my left hand, this tiny little water, pinching it between my thumb and my pointer finger. And I reach out to press the button to start my truck, and for whatever reason I decide, no, I'm too excited. I'm not even going to start my truck. So I just immediately go to reach over and I uncork this tiny little vial. And still staring kind of towards the center console, I hear running water. Not water running because you turned on the faucet and it's hitting a sink. It's the sound of walking through the woods, and there's not a single other sound in the air except for a gentle, rambling stream. Just that calm, peaceful, meditative sound of trickling water. And I'm looking at the radio, and the radio's not turned on. Look in the console, check it. Look at the truck's not running. It's off. Now I bring my eyes over to see what's going on, and not only am I hearing this sound, but the water has literally come to life. There's maybe 1 ounce of water in this tiny little vial, and it's foaming. The top of it is frothing like a beer that was poured too fast. And instead, it looks like when water comes crashing down a waterfall and it hits the rocks below and you get that white kind of foamy, frothy, that's what's happening on top of this water. And I'm staring at it in utter disbelief, and I bring it closer to my ear and the sound gets louder. And I move it further away from my ear and it gets a little bit quieter. And then because I'm an idiot, I do it like 3 more times, and it's quieter, louder, quieter, louder. And I just sitting there holding this vial of water until it stops. And in that moment, I knew what it was, what I have here. And I took the vial, and I got a little bit on my finger. I said the shortest prayer of my life. I said, Lord, if it is your will, I ask that you heal me of this affliction. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I crossed my neck 3 times, and as soon as the last syllable of spirit rolled off my tongue, I could feel God's grace and mercy wash me, starting at the back of my neck and run over me like I had stepped underneath a hot shower in slow motion. I could just feel that warmth spread over the entirety of my body from head to toe. Gone. 10 years of suffering, 10 years of anguish, 10 years of pain that I would never wish on anyone in my life was now gone like it had never existed.
Just immediately in that moment.
Instantaneous.
Wow.
And I'm just sitting there in my truck in the parking lot at the church in utter disbelief. And I'm frozen.
Mm.
And I call my wife and I say, honey, this is probably going to be the strangest phone call you've ever gotten from me, but I think God just miraculously healed me. She just dropped the kids off at school, so her brain's running a million miles a minute.
Yeah,
she's trying
sure.
to plan out her day. She goes, huh? Said, I got some water from Lourdes, France, and I blessed my neck, and the pain is gone. And she was absolutely floored as well. So I don't know what to do with it at this point. I don't know if this is a fluke, this is a coincidence. And as time wears on and the pain's not going anywhere, or the pain's not coming back rather, I come to know what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
God had miraculously healed me simply because I asked. As I continue to kind of think about it and tell people, and I started telling my family and really kind of building confidence in what God had done in my life, and I look back on it and somebody asked me, oh, well, did that I wonder if is that Our Lady of Lourdes feast day? Get on Google and search it up. Nope, that's actually February 11th. This was on the 18th. Okay, well, I wonder whose feast day is on the 18th. Search it up. Do you know who it is?
I do not.
St. Bernadette. God healed me on St. Bernadette's feast day.
That's the girl that Our Lady of Lourdes appeared to.
The 14-year-old teenager, French girl, who Mary appeared to, I think, 17 or 18 times over the course of 4 or 5 months. Her feast day.
You were healed by Our Lady of Lourdes on St. Bernadette's feast day.
Correct. And now, 2 days short of a year since that happened, nothing's ever come back.
Wow.
So that's the first half of the story.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. Even.
There's so much there.
So when this first happened, was it an instant confidence of like, I know what just happened? Or like, was there, it seems like maybe there, like, was there a little bit of like, maybe I'm just being crazy, maybe it's placebo, like what did that little struggle look like? Or was it just an instant part of the miracle, you knew what would happen?
It was both. Honestly, It was both. One, the larger part of me knew what had happened.
Uh-huh.
There was no confusing it. When I had been at such an extreme level of pain to zero, you notice something's missing.
Yeah.
And knowing that I hadn't taken any pill, I hadn't gone to see any doctor, I hadn't performed any procedure. Literally, the only thing that had happened was touching my neck 3 times with water from Lourdes, France. So there was no way around the truth of the situation, but still, in the very center of my heart, I have this same question that I had when I had the pain. Why me, God?
Oh, interesting.
Why did you heal me? And I didn't know, and I couldn't figure it out. And I still not really certain I do know that answer.
Yeah.
But the reality of his truth was too apparent to ignore. Mm-hmm. And at that point, it became more so a question of, what do I do with this? This miracle is not for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing that I'm wholly and solely undeserving of this level of grace.
Yeah.
So God, what are you calling me to do with this miracle? And that's what I'm still trying to figure out, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and this is, I think, even a start is just the grace multiplied through sharing it with others. And I also think there's such a beautiful grace baked in there of not just a physical healing, but a reclaiming of your identity as a child of God, as someone who is freely gifted things by the Lord. Not only did the pain actually go away, but it freed you of the demonic lie that you are your pain or your shortcomings.
100% right.
Yeah.
With that disappearing of the pain, the anger went with it.
Yeah.
The loneliness went with it.
Hmm.
The frustration, all of those things, God took them all from me in that one split second.
Yeah. What did that personal, like, internal transformation look like?
So that's where I really probably need to go back and tell you the whole story. So I've told you kind of a part of it, and I got into how this was affecting my life, this was affecting my family life.
Yeah.
But what I didn't really tell you much about is how much it was impacting my wife. Seeing me turn into the person that I had become so far indifferent than the man that she married was devastating, as you would expect.
Yeah.
To somebody who wants nothing but the best for their spouse, and someone who is so graceful and so loving and so merciful towards me, and I was treating her like a stranger. I was mean. I would say unkind things. Just the situation in the house that she was having to live through. She was in her own torment, where I was being physically tormented. Unfortunately, I was her tormentor in an emotional sense. I wasn't the support that she needed. I was, in fact, the exact opposite of that. So for a good stretch, I told you, she kind of told me this has got to end, and you got to do something about this. But even as I started to slowly get control of myself, and we'd have those relapse instances I was telling you about, she's in a place of desperation. She's saying, God, I trust you. God, I know that you are all over this thing. Help me to see it, because I don't see it right now. Yeah. And I don't remember exactly when it came out, but there was a song came out on the radio from Katie Nicole called "The God of Possible." And if you listen to the lyrics of that song, it's a beautiful song, but it's even more beautiful prayer. And it's a song about wanting better for somebody. And there's words in this song: I pray miracles over your life. So for years, without me knowing, she is singing, praying this song in her moments of most desperation, saying, God, I trust you. I'm giving this to you, but I need you. I need you to do something about this, because I can't do it anymore. And clearly he hasn't figured it out, right? So she's praying this song over me. A little more than a year before I was physically healed, I went on a ski trip with my buddies. I'd finally gotten around to the point of, okay, I can't keep holding myself back from doing all these things in life. I can't live my life inside the walls of my house. I have to experience the world that God has put in front of me. Yeah. Pain be damned, I'll deal with it. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I'll deal with it meant I'll deal with it, but then also my family's going to suffer from this, because I'm going to be in a higher level of pain, which means that my patience is going to be that much more thin, which means that my logic, my reasoning is going to be out the window. Sure. So I elect to go on this ski trip, have a great time with my friends. I get back, sleeping on foreign beds, flying in airplanes, fell down on the mountain a couple of times. I'm not feeling great. Yeah. And then you layer on top of it, while I was gone, I had noticed that my other buddies that were staying with me, their wives were calling them when we'd get back off the mountain, and their kids would want to talk to them, and my phone never rang. So I get back and I'm hurt. I said, why weren't you calling me? Why didn't you want to talk to me? Why didn't you want to hear about what's going on? And we end up in a fight over this, right? It just continues down the cycle. And of course, now I'm in pain on top of just the fact that we're having a disagreement. So it's escalating, and it's ugly. And it's the kind of fight that unfortunately did not end in one day, and it rolled over into the next day. And now we're not just fighting face to face, we're fighting via text message, right? So who doesn't love a good text message fight, right? Yeah. Where you can say whatever you want. You don't have to see the other person's face when they hear it. And we're shooting texts back and forth, and I'm sitting at my desk at work, and I type out something on my phone to the effect of, "Did you even miss me? It's like you guys don't even want me at home." And I hear a voice from over my left shoulder, behind me over my left shoulder. It says, "Why should she?" I'm looking at the text on my phone, and "Do you even want me home?" I turn and I look. There's nobody there. Kind of frozen, thinking, okay, am I talking crap to myself at this point? And then I hear it again. "Why should she?" And it's this booming, powerful, but gentle and loving, all at the same time, tone. And the second time I heard it, I knew what it was. God was speaking directly to me, not a voice inside my head, not in my prayer, an external voice,
Actual voice
coming from nothing, from no one. And after he got my attention, and I'm just sitting there kind of frozen, he says, "I've called you to more." And I was frozen, completely frozen. I apologized. I groveled. I cried. I did everything I could to try and make up for those 8, 9, 10 years of hurting her and my family at that point. Because now I realize you're the problem here. It finally came to light. And in God speaking to me in that moment, I just resolved myself to, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to be different. I'm going to do it. So I started praying for patience. I started praying for inner peace. I started praying for the pain to go away. I started praying for all these things. And I started getting better. I started bringing God into these issues more and more and more. But unfortunately, it was still a lot of, I'm going to take it as far as I can, and then when I just run out of gas, okay, God, now I'm going to give it to you. Right? You gave me a lot, I'm going to run with this. And when I just can't do anymore, okay, tag, you're it. Right? Now you're in. And unfortunately, that was the same fall that we had a couple hurricanes roll through Tampa. Our house got impacted by one of those. Nothing devastating, but enough that I had to deal with insurance companies. Gotta love that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm dealing with insurance companies,
Different
and then
type of chronic pain.
Amen to that. I'm dealing with these insurance companies, and it's not going well. And they're rejecting the claims on the house, and they're saying, "Nope, you're gonna have to foot the bill. This is all your problem." So now the stress and the anxiety is all starting to build up. Then a couple weeks later, I get a letter in the mail that I'm being sued because I had a fender bender in a parking lot, and the gentleman who didn't have any issues at the time, drove away, no issue, was now all of a sudden suing me for $75,000 because he, of all things, now has neck pain. Funny how the devil works, right? Funny how the devil works. And then you take those things, and we're rolling just past the calendar year just rolled over. Christmas is behind us, and my work is really starting to ramp up, and I'm just frankly overwhelmed. I have to get on a flight. I got to go up to Pittsburgh and do this thing for work, and I got to come back, and I got to get on the phone with the insurance company, and I got to talk to lawyers, and I got to get this. All this stuff's going on, and I'm on this plane flying home from Pittsburgh, exactly 1 year to the day from when God called me out. January 17th, 2024, he called me out. January 17th, 2025, I'm flying home, and I'm praying, and I'm praying, and I'm praying the entire way back from Pittsburgh to the point where we get back off, I get to Tampa, and I get off the plane, and if you've been to the Tampa airport, you know we've got shuttles that take you from the land side back to the air, or the air side over to the land side, and I'm riding on the shuttle, and I'm leaning on the outside wall of the shuttle. And at this point, prayer has kind of progressed to more so me yelling at God. Right? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I'm praying for patience. How come I'm not patient yet? I'm praying for peace. I don't feel so peaceful. I got to handle this thing. I got to do that thing. I got to do this thing. God, I can't do everything. And God didn't let me get another word in after that. He goes, I am everything. Same thing as before. Booming, powerful voice over my left shoulder. This time I'm leaning up against a shuttle car that's moving, so I know there's nobody outside. And I froze again. And I realized while I'd been calling God into my life, I was still treating him as a God of last resort. I had this twisted idea that God's given me these blessings, and it's your job to take those blessings and solve all the problems. And then if you can't solve them with those blessings, okay, then you can come ask for some more. But don't ask for more than you're supposed to have. And God basically yelling in my ear, I'm everything. I'm the center of it all. You keep trying to balance me amongst your priorities. You know, you say you're going to put me first, but then invariably something comes up and I slide down the list. Stop putting me on a priority list. Put me in the middle of everything you do. And my life changed. From that second forward, my entire outlook on life changed. Even with all this pain in my life at that point still.
And this is 1 month before the healing?
1 month. 1 month and 1 day.
Okay.
1 month and 1 day before I was healed, I had it. God fixed my broken heart. He reinserted himself back into the middle of everything in my life. And from that point in time, that's how I live. If you can put God in the middle of everything that you do, you'll always win. There's no chance of losing when he's the focus of it all. So then go 1 month after that, I'm sitting in my truck. I've been healed. Now this time I hear a voice again. It's not coming from behind me. It's not over my left shoulder. Right next to me. Jesus was literally riding shotgun in my truck while I was blessing my neck. And it's almost as soon as I was healed, I hear, faith has saved you. I'm sorry, faith has healed you. And in the moment, I thought, this is my faith. I finally was able to put Jesus and put Mary and realize that they are bigger and more real than any and all of my problems. And I can put all my faith in them, and then that's where my miracles can happen. But the reality is I had just come to that conclusion in that very moment in time. My wife had been praying faithfully for my miracle for years. She'd been praying for her own miracle, for my own deliverance from this pain, from this suffering, because she also knew that when that went away, it would solve everything that was going on in our relationship that was broken. So in that moment when God healed me, he didn't just answer my prayers of physical healing. He was answering her years of prayers and faith and trust, and providing the emotional and spiritual healing that she'd been so deeply seeking.
Such a beautiful witness to a holy marriage as well, and the holy wife, it sounds like, to be praying for you so constantly.
So constantly. It's no surprise to me that Our Lady of Lourdes was such a pivotal piece of my healing, because she's had, as long as I've known her, an extreme devotion to Our Lady, and invites Mary into every aspect of her life. And how grateful am I that I get to bear the fruit of her faith life. To now be able to go forward and share that story, not just of my physical healing, but the miracle of the spiritual healing that I've received, and the emotional healing that has, frankly, completely changed my family life.
Wow. I don't know that I have much more to even ask or talk about on that. I think it's just such a beautiful story of, like I said, the relationship piece, also just the connection between the physical and spiritual struggle of so much sin, of identifying with sin and allowing these negative things to impact the rest of your life. But thank you so much for being willing to come on here and share this with everyone.
I appreciate the chance.
Bear witness to it.
You go through the pages of the New Testament and you read of all these healings, of these miracles. And the one thing that this just rang clear to me is that God of supernatural doesn't just exist in the pages of the Bible. He's still very much alive and active and not just capable of giving you miracles. He wants to. The question is, do you want it as bad as he does? Do you want it so bad that you're willing to give up everything that you believe to follow what he has in store for you instead? And I think that that's why I was healed. So I finally came to a point where I said, God, my life is yours. Do with it what you will. And that's why I'm sitting here talking to you right now.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and sharing this. Yeah, I wish I had more to ask you. I mean, it was beautifully put. And I'm really grateful for your witness and just your openness about all of this.
Thank you. I appreciate the chance to talk.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you guys so much for watching, for tuning in. And I appreciate you sitting down with me.